Gentlemen, welcome back to the shop. Thanks for joining me in the doghouse. Wife stormed off in a huff. I come home. Baby, shot. Wow, you can't live with him. Can't live without him. You thought I was going to get myself in trouble there. Come home, baby, sugar, honey, darling. I got that cider you wanted. She storms off. You're an idiot. I asked around for this hot dickin' cider. Without further ado, we have here the Ingersoll-Rand Air Hammer. Ingersoll-Rand used to make, back in the day, mining gear. Founded before Christ was a cowboy, 1800s. Big multinational American company based in Ireland. Yeah, $40 million a year in tax savings there. How much stock do you think how much product do you think they sell in Ireland versus how much they sell in the US? Anyway, I digress. We got the box splayed wide open and looky. A love note from the factoria. It's probably a desperate plea for help from some poor Irishman. Please kill me. My lunch break is only long enough for down in 4 Guinnesses. Oh yeah, some ass coverage here by Ingersoll-Rand. I'm just joking. This wouldn't be made in Ireland. It's made in China, I think. Anyway, oh yeah, super duper ass cover. Come on, who's gonna torque that 9-inch pounds? Oh, you know exactly the type that would torque that on. Speaking of, there is no reference to the Big Rock Candy Mountain here, so it might be either they're trying to hide where it's made, and doing quite a good job of it. Now the documentation states where it's made. Box, packaging, oh there we go. Taiwan. Okay, a lot of good stuff comes from Taiwan. Right off the hop here though, got a Buna N condom. Yeah, already flopping in the breeze like the mother of quince. Very nice look, stout looking parts, but let's get into the meat of her first. We'll get into the tracking from the mothership. Of course, Ingersoll-Rand knows where to... Oh, come on, Baco. Now, use the thumb detecting nut fucker here instead. And also, it's got the added bonus of the widlerizing end. Holy fuck, that's tough. What the fuck even is that? Some sort of adamantium. Incredible. All for that. Fucking head rush. Ooh, you guys are freaking me out over on my left side here. I normally work with you over my right shoulder. Fucking feels like there's a stranger in the shop. Nah, that's far less awkward. Awkward nonetheless, but far less so. I'm going to show you my setup here. You'll get a kick out of it because it's so fucking janky. The struggle is real, lads. Starting at the beginning, stacked up and welded a couple of rotors off a Mazda 3. And we go up here, just a regular rod. Then a little bit more polished rod, cold rolled, welded together here. And we got it on a lever arm with a couple of these fasteners. What's got phosphor bronze teats in there, so you can kind of slide it up and down. And then when you got to get it real tight, there's a spanner on there, special, and then a dial indicator arm connected to the Jesus cannon, which I will never ever buy again because it's a piece of shit. And then we have my Road Scholar certification. That's the setup. Janky as well. As witnessed by the shredding on the chintzy rubber, as well as a couple little apprentice marks on the body. I can't get this A part, no way, no how. So we're going to change the angle of the dangle by increasing the heat of the meat. Would someone please think of the cutting mat? Now we got to be real careful in here. Oh, we don't got to be, but we want to be real careful in here because we only want to get it up hot enough to release any Loctite or glue that's in there. and not damage the seal. So right around 100, 125 C, you know, boiling point of water is enough to release a cyanoacrylate glue. So hopefully that's enough. We're at 50, 41 there now, so we got to go up quite a bit more. And I just added the chalk there because of the emissivity of the metallic surface. Your guess, valid as mine, as to how she comes. So while it's still hot, we're going to try and get her apart. Now we'll also let it cool down. If that doesn't work, try and see if some differential cooling, some JFM is going to work. Oh, she's pretty tight. She's pretty tight. You'll note we're only in stage 1 for recalcitrant. Threaded connections. Grunting and groaning like a sound squanch. Stage 2 is red hot, seething curses. Okay, we're around the horn now, boys. Hot. Okay, we're almost in. Aha! Yeah, dirty bastages. The old hernia trap. There's the remnants of Loctite. The global overview of this tool, it looks really skookum. Nicely machined parts, pretty finishes, but you get into the meat of her and we see some dirty secrets. We'll get into some of the construction, but that, look at that. That is what come out of the air gallery. So if you get one of these and it runs for a little bit and then shits the bed, you're going to want to take it apart and clean up all this crap what got in between the pistone and the cylinder. We'll get into, well, no, I'll show you here. Don't have the microscope ready, but this was not radially ground. It's all got these axial score marks and then all this fretting here. Look at this. Let's see how hard that is. I got those files, those fancy files. Let's see how hard it is. So we'll start at 55. And that hits it pretty good. So we'll go down to 40. Oh no, we started at 50. We'll go down to 40. Well, that hits it pretty good too. What the fuck? What about this end? Maybe. Oh, that's really soft. What? Here we got 40. That is really surprising to me. Of course, you wouldn't want it super hard, right? Because, you know, they're whacking together, but at the same time, you wouldn't be expecting brie in there. This just totally annealed. It might not even be tool steel. Here's the cylinder barrel, and she's got some gravity to her. You want that because that mass tunes the thing so that most of the vibration isn't going into your hand, and also the bigger and heavier this is, the harder it's going to hit because the mass is preventing it from moving back. So, yeah, ostensibly. But crusty as all hell. Look at this. Remember, these are the sealing surfaces for air, and it looks like a dull apprentice went at that with a die grinder and a flap wheel. Not finished nicely at all. It's like that all the way down the barrel. Just atrocious. Fail, Ingersoll-Rand. As I said, it's got this crappy condom on there. The only reason you'd want that on there is so your hand doesn't get chilled. The thing is, if you're using an air chisel, you want to wear gloves. You want to be wearing gloves anyway. So, kind of one of those things that's just going to turn to shit anyway, so why put it on there in the first place? They did a nice job polishing the top part and then didn't bother with the bottom part here because it's got the replaceable Buna end condom, but kind of, yeah, why not do the job proper? Or is it just me? So here's the valve here. We got the roll pin out. And this is the valve to limit the amount of air that goes, throttle the amount, so you can adjust how hard the gun is hitting. And get the valve, the ball and seat in there. And I'm not quite sure how that works, so we got to take it down another level or two. Look familiar? That's the kind of spool valve. You see here, 1, 2, 3 O-rings. What this old Tony put in his blowjobber for that DiResta fella. I don't judge. Well, I do, but I keep it to myself. Now that we're done with the foreplay, I'm going to give you the hard bit. The beauty about these is this is a fluid calculator, and it actually works with 2 valves. The hammer slug is actually a valve body. So if this was invented nowadays, in order to get a piston to chooch back and forth, you would have a 32-bit microcontroller, you'd have Hall effect sensors, you'd have magnetics, you'd have a battery, you'd have all this stuff. This mechanical computer is so beautifully elegant that it gets you right in the feels, man. I can't say enough about how much I love fluid power and how it does its computations. It's incredible. It's incredible. In the beginning, there was 90 pounds per square inch. Wow, who's kidding who? 150 pounds per square inch pressurized fluid being compressed air into the bottom or into the side of this spool valve. Then when we actuate the trigger, spool valve moves down, opens up a port. Port goes into the back of this valve. Now, we don't know what the porting is on this valve, and it's all sealed up. So we'll show you a little trick here to try and figure out what's going on. You take some of this, what you bought off the dirty old corner of the internet, fluor scent oil. And we jam it in the hole. That's the inlet. And we just let it do its thing for a little bit. Then we'll irradiate it with high energy ultraviolet particles, and that scent oil has worked its magic, and it comes out here, goes in here, down around, leaked a little bit, down around and through the center of this valve. Now this valve also has a port straight through from the backside to the front side, which indexes with a port in the barrel. And if you're tracing electronicals, of course, you got a multimeter. If you're tracing fluid connections, you have a aluminum TIG filler rod, nice and soft. So that is T-drilled because it's bottomed out. It doesn't come through. We'll just see where that's drilled to, right to the front. So there is a gallery, a port at the front of this that goes all the way to the back through here, which is permanently open to pressure at the back of this body. So this is all pressurized. Now, what is going on here? We put the slug in, and when we pressurize this guy, we are going to allow fluid to come into these T-drillings past the poppet valve. This is a phenolic resin little disc, and that is a poppet valve. It's one of the two moving components. Two! That's it. I mean, what can go wrong? There's only 2 moving components in this system that provides the oscillation. Essentially, this is a mechanical oscillator. And okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself here. So fluid goes in, air goes in here to the back of the piston. That gets the back of the piston moving. Now remember, this is through drilled, so this port up here, this is equal pressure. This is 150 psi in here. Only thing is, it's not, because it's allowed to exhaust right out here. So that's what's happening when you pull the trigger and you hear a psh, psh, nothing happens. It's because the air is going in here, coming straight out the exhaust, and it's not getting the piston to move. Okay, so all things being equal, because the pressures are not equal. The pressure in here is basically zero because it's exhausted. That means the pressure behind the piston is 100 psi, 150 psi. That gets it a-moving real fast until we go here. Now we're exhausting all this, so there's no pressure in here. And it goes past the exhaust port until it opens up. Now we have no pressure on the front side of this valve because it's just exhausting, and we're closing off this exhaust port. Now this exhaust port is closed. That means we are pressurizing this part. So if we're pressurizing this part, it feeds back into here. That means that we have a differential. On the front side we have no pressure because it's all exhausted out, and on the back side we have 150 psi. That shuttles this valve closed. That means there's only air getting into the front side of this. Now that's going to allow the piston to whack the shit out of this, but also there's going to be pressurized air in here that will send the piston scooting backwards until we cover this back up and the poppet shuttles back over and allows pressure to act on the back of this piston. So essentially we get a self-oscillating mechanical sled. And if you change anything at all, this would all be tuned. If you change the port sizing, the port positioning, the size of the mass, you would the amount of airflow, you would totally change the frequency of hitting. So yeah, just so simple, so elegant. Two moving parts, this phenolic disc and the slug. And the slug is doing two functions. It's hammering, it's imparting the energy into the chisel, but it's also acting as its own valve. It's brilliant. So here's the quick connect chuck. It threads onto the body. Of course, that thread, that oddball thread on there, where is it? That is meant for a spring. And normally, what we do is we have a spring in there, and the thing won't dry fire. It will not dry fire because the slug gets stuck in the front. They're actually relying on this spring to pop that slug back enough to get it working. I don't even know if I think there is a circuit there that allows pressurized air to get that slug back, even if you don't have the quick connect. But in this case, we have the quick connect, so we're really not relying on any kind of spring tension to pop that slug back, that hammer back. As we can see here, it's just like an SDS chuck, essentially. 4 balls, and then when you pull the foreskin down, it allows the balls to come back, and then quick connect like that. And it's stuck. Well, here's the trigger, plastic. One of the problems with plastic in this scenario is you're going to get accelerated wear on this pin bore, and that pin bore is critical to be able to get the valve open fully. So as soon as you get that waldered out, you're going to lose power on this thing. You'd like to see a die-cast aluminium part at the very least. So that's kind of a fail there. A treat especial today. We're going to do the build-up. Don't normally leave this in on account of it taking forever and so forth, but in this case, we fuck all in a big ship. My daughter told me a joke the other day. I laughed my ass off. Not teabag for a 4-year-old. Why did the tomato blush? Because he saw the salad dressing. Okay, so we'll get that in and tightened up. And then we will test it right out post haste. Click. How fast do you think those things are going to rattle out? Pretty fucking fast. Look at your finger. She gonna work? Nope. That'll help. Give her a little air. It's so quiet. What the fuck? Doesn't even sound like it's working. Yeah. Doesn't even sound like it's working, because it ain't. Well, that never happens. It doesn't work after I took it apart. Must have got some schmoo in there. I think this is just the baby home gamer version anyway. 114C. Got this at the Lowe's down in the States. Yeah, I think, yeah, it was Lowe's. It looked real pretty, but doesn't... All that crap on the inside of the bore, that really doesn't inspire very much confidence. I'd be surprised, even right out of the box. Like, I took crap out. There was a whole bunch of crap, and I took a lot of it out, so there must be some more crap in there that I gotta get rid of. Ah, the problem is the man behind the steering wheel. I fucked it up. Check it out. Got all cattywampus while it was going in. How did that happen? I'll tell you how it happened. Trap for young gamers and flamers alike. Goes in like that. There's only one way you can get it in and index with that hole. However, recall, put it in the vise. Well, I started to thread it, and then I put it in the vise, and that valve must have fallen off, gone wherever the hell it wanted. It got in there sideways, and yeah, fucked it up. So I'm gonna try and salvage it, and if not, we'll buy a new part. But yeah, damn, messed it up. That's too bad. Happens. That's why I take it apart, so you don't have to. That's the prime directive, is if it ain't broke, don't fucking fix it. Oh yeah. There you have it, the Ingersoll-Rand Air Impact. How it works, and also the internal construction. I think it's a home gamer model myself, this one, on account of how craptacular the innards were. Even though it looks really skookum on the outside, the innards never lie. Thanks for watching. Keep your dick in a vise. Oh, also, please enjoy following this presentation some gratuitous high-speed camera shots.